Good evening. Today is Tuesday, January the 5th. Today in pre-calculus, we looked at the power reduction formulas and the half angle formulas. What I'm going to do here is show you very quickly where these formulas come from so that you can kind of understand if you have an idea of where the formulas come from, it's not like you have to memorize them. So I'll share my screen and we'll go from there. Now the formulas come from the sum and difference formulas. If you remember the sine formula, the sine of alpha plus beta, or we can just do a plus b, a plus and minus b equals the sine of a times the cosine of b plus or minus the cosine of a times the sine of b. Now, when I go to a double angle formula, I'll show you how the double angle formula works for this one. And it works the same way for the sine and the cosine and the tangent. But if I'm going to do a double angle formula, I'm looking for sine of 2a. And if I go back to my previous formula here, if I want to get 2a out of a plus b, then I turn b into a. So I got a plus a, which is 2a. So that means everywhere I have a b over here, I change it to a. Right here, I change this to a. So what you'll notice is now I have sine a cosine a plus or minus, or plus in this case, since we're using the plus sine a cosine a. So I have two of them. So this formula becomes 2 sine a times cosine a. That's the double angle formula for sine 2a. Okay? Now, so if I look at the cosine formula, and the cosine formula, I'll look at it because it has, number one, it has three versions. So the cosine of alpha plus and minus beta, which is the start point, plus and minus beta, equals the cosine of alpha, cosine of A in this case, times the cosine of B, minus or plus, this one's opposite, the sine of A times the sine of B. Now, so if I do a cosine 2a, once again, so I'm going to do cosine 2a so everywhere I have a b, it becomes a, and I'm using my plus formula, so a plus a is 2a. So I have cosine a times cosine a, which is cosine squared a, and then I have minus sine a, which is sine squared a, so minus sine squared a. Now, there are two other versions of this formula. So I can come down here, I can say cosine 2a, and where I get the other two versions are from the sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1 formula. So I have sine squared A plus cosine squared A equals 1. So if I replace the cosine square here, if I replace cosine square with 1 minus sine square, this formula becomes 1 minus 2 sine squared A. And if I replace the third formula, or the third version, the cosine of 2A equals, so now I replace the sine square with 1 minus cosine square. So I have 2 cosine squared A minus 1. Okay. Now, the power reduction formulas come off of these two formulas right here, right? I'm going to take and solve this equation right here for sine squared A. So sine squared A, if I take sine squared A equals, if I come in here, see now sine squared, I take it across this way. So I have 1 minus cosine 2A and I divide by 2. So I have 1 minus cosine 2A divided by 2. And by the same token, if I use this formula here, I get cosine squared A equals something very similar, except now it's 1 plus cosine 2A over 2. Now those two right there are what are called the power reduction formulas. Here, I'll type that in right down here. They are power reduction formulas. And the reason why they're power reduction formulas, because if you'll notice, you start with a square on this side and you end up with the first power term on this side. So you're going from a second degree to a first degree. Now, if you look at these here, the half angle formulas, all we do with the half angle formulas is we take the square root of both sides of this. So now we're going to get sine of, we're going to get the sine of A equals plus and minus the square root of 1 minus cosine 2A over 2. And then we do the same thing down here, and we get cosine A equals plus and minus the square root of 1 plus cosine 2A all over 2. Now, in your textbook, they will take and change A to x over 2, but you notice the relationship between this angle right here and this angle over here. This is half of this one, so if this becomes a half, this becomes a whole, so you would have the sine of a over 2 equals 1 minus the cosine of a over 2 with the square root. So these are the half angle formulas. Now, the rest of the formulas in the book are the sum to product and product to sum formulas, which if you ever need them, you can look them up in your book, in your textbook. They're formulas that you won't use very often. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing here. Now, the assignment for Wednesday and Thursday, which I will put in the OneNote in writing, but the assignment is on page 359, chapter 5, practice test, all the problems 1 through 30. So you need to start working on that. And when you get it finished, send it to me either as an attachment to an email or put it into OneNote, whichever is easier for you. As always, if you have questions, send me an email and I'll get back to you. And we miss having you in class, and hope everything's going well for you.